Hi, everyone, and welcome to the review episode for the Wayward Dragons podcast. This is our aside episode we do every other week to kind of just chit chat and talk about, what's going on with us, what we've been reading or watching or playing or anything else. I'm Johnny.
And I'm Kelsey. And welcome. Welcome. Sorry, I'm trying to find my Goodreads here.
You're good. You want me to start?
Yeah,
you can. Do you want me to start? I actually haven't done a single book. I know everyone's disappointed. I have been captivated with something else that I'll get into in a minute. But yeah, no, I have epically failed at any books, which means I gotta do 10 for the next one, right?
I mean, that's up to you. It's just normally I'm a little bit more put together.
Well, we're not recording on our normal day just because life is hectic and all that jazz.
Well, like I showed you, so for the wedding, I bought a Cricut, and I have been crafting with my Cricut. So that's what I've been doing. I was doing that before we locked on.
For anyone who doesn't know what a Cricut is, it's this fancy little printer type thing that will print out or cut out stencil type stickers on vinyl.
You can do tons of shit. I use it to make my. I use it to for my guest books because there's pins, so you can make cards and stuff with them. So I use the pen attachments to make my guest books for my wedding because I didn't know how to do that any other way. But I've been using them to craft because that is what brings me joy, is listening to a book and crafting.
Crafting is fun. Crafting's a lot of fun.
But you can go first. Yeah.
No, I have no books. I can talk about the podcast that I've been stuck on, which is why I haven't gotten any books done.
Okay.
So I started listening to a podcast. It's a Pathfinder podcast, and for those of you that don't know, Pathfinder is similar to D&D. Most people who work on it used to work on D&D, but because of personal differences and a schism in the organization and some creative differences that, well, honestly, a good bit of people left playing D&D to go to Pathfinder, but some people play both, like myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, so instead of your normal 3 to 5 hours, like a lot of podcasts are, they do it in 1 hour segments, so it's a lot more convenient to listen to. And I'd probably die if I had 350 episodes to listen to of 3 to 5 hour each. These are only an hour each, so it's more tolerable. So I'm probably going to take a break from it after the little arc that they're in is over and knock out some more books. That way I just don't get too stale with it. But yeah, that's kind of what's been sucking up all my time. The podcast is called The Glass Canon, and it's so far about a group of adventurers that they're trying to stop some giants and orcs from trying to take over the world. And there's a little bit more to it than that, but typical high fantasy gaming stuff.
Yeah.
Loads of ridiculous references and dumb stuff like that.
Okay.
But that and work have really, and family stuff is pretty much all I've been up to. Nothing too fancy or extracurricular or anything like that. What about yourself?
We have figured out the wedding cake, so we did that. So I'm not a big cake fan. I've never been a big cake fan, and there's a local shop here that we're going with, that we're doing cupcakes with. So we'll have a pumpkin cupcake, and they have this almond cupcake with raspberry marmalade with a French buttercream. It is so good.
I think you're just making up things now.
No. I wish I was.
It just sounds like random words strung together.
It does. But yeah, we figured out the wedding cake kind of situation. We haven't figured out the whole cookie situation yet. We're almost there. I feel like we're almost there. But I mean, I've been crafting because that's what I do, so I don't end up in county for homicide. Like, you can't see because I also have a migraine, so like we're kind of mildly recording in the dark. But like,
well, that's
all these. Well, this is half a wedding, but like, this is vinyl for my Cricut. This is vinyl for my Cricut. This is.
Say for our listeners.
This is. I'm just holding up reels.
And she has a massive pile of miscellaneous stuff on her desk.
Like, because my Cricut is that little thing right there. Yep. I have a Cricut Joy. So I bought it when it was on sale. So, but I've been doing that. But the books. So, well, my fiance, I've been calling him my husband. We're practically married. We finished Diablo 3. Interesting
Fourth
ending.
one's supposed to be coming out soon.
Yeah. So originally the game is 4 acts, and then they added a 5th one. Definitely can tell that the 5th one has been added. You can totally tell. And there's no clear like ending that you've ended the game, because you restart at the beginning again.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real clear like ending, but you unlock adventure mode, so you can like go do bounties and stuff, which is, we haven't started that. We might do that over the weekend.
I'll just buy you guys a new game to play.
Yeah, well, I thought about doing the older Diablos just to kind of see what they're about, because I like RPGs. That's my thing.
I would suggest checking out Divinity 2: Origin of Sin. It's got some similarities to Diablo, but I think you two might like it. You can do, there's a few tricks, like you can take it and have up to 4 people in your party, and if it's just like 1 or 2 people playing, you can have NPCs do the other 2 characters, just like switch out between them in combat, or you can just keep your main characters. And there's a certain ability you can take to actually make your 2 characters stronger if you just have 2 characters in your party.
Okay. Yeah, because he's been playing Grounded. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you remember Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? You remember that movie?
I remember all 3 of those movies.
Okay.
And the TV series.
It's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids met the Sims video game.
That's weird.
He's been obsessed with this game. He's already beat it once. We're going in with a new character and a different difficulty level. He's actually playing it right now while we're recording. But that's what he's been playing. He's totally obsessed with Grounded. Him and his brother play when I'm asleep. But that's video game wise. We've been watching the new season of Hoarders. That's on Netflix. It always makes me feel a lot better about my house situation.
I don't know, your desk looks like something.
Well, okay, I have a lot going on. Like, I have a hot glue gun in here. I have all the stuff. I've got 2 more centerpieces to make, so I've got like all these little miniature things in here. And also, if I keep it messy, my cat won't jump up on it. So
That's fair.
So we've got that. Because Apollo, my little needy child, will follow me everywhere. But book-wise, so I finished Dance of Death by Douglas Preston Lincoln Child. So that's book 2 in the Diogenes mini, like the trilogy that's in the middle of this. Basically, Diogenes is Pendergast's brother. He was the main FBI agent in the whole storyline. Oh, hi, Bubba. And so what basically happens is Diogenes sets Pendergast up for murder. He completely frames his brother. The next book is how they plan to clear Pendergast's name, get Diogenes arrested. Not there yet. I have to take these books in doses. Like, they're just... It's not like that's a lot going on, but there's a lot of fluff that doesn't necessarily need to be in there that's in there. You know what I mean? I love this series because it deals with different levels of supernatural elements in a way. So that one wasn't bad. I continued my Jane Yellow Rock series with Blood Cross by Faith Hunter. That one wasn't bad. I mean, they're quick books to read. That's why I like reading them. But Jane's getting a little bit more comfortable in her skinwalking abilities. She's becoming a lot more comfortable. But basically the gist of the book is which children are disappearing in New Orleans. And all these rogue vampires are kind of coming up around the same time that all these children are going missing. And Jane thinks that they are connected, and they are. And she becomes personally involved when her best friend comes to stay with her, and her best friend has an incredibly powerful daughter, and the children get kidnapped as part of this whole rogue vampire shindig thing that's rocking. So that's kind of the undercurrent, is she has to kind of fight some maternal instincts from her second consciousness. That's Beast, because Beast had her own kits. So it's there's a lot of weird stuff going on. She finally starts a relationship, so it's kind of interesting. And then I read The Lava Witch by Debra Boker. I actually listened to that. So that's the detective series. Is based in Hawaii, so it's got a lot of that Hawaiian folklore because the main detective, Kylie, is her family's spiritual leader, I guess you could call her. The role was passed on from her grandmother to her, so she's like this spiritual counselor in a way. So there's all that undercurrent of Hawaiian mythology and all that type of lore. But basically she goes to a crime scene and a young girl is found hanging in a rainbow eucalyptus tree, and she obviously kind of finds out what's going on, but she finds out that there's
specific.
It is. It's a rainbow eucalyptus tree.
Like, I know that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's odd that that's pointed out.
It is, because she's like, it's such a beautiful tree for something so tragic to happen.
So it's more of like they use it as an imagery thing than anything else?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like important to the overall story that it was particular to that type of tree, or it was just artsy flourish.
Artsy flourish, because you unfortunately have someone who is suffering from mental illness in the book. He becomes quite delusional in where he is, in what's happening around him, and it's a kind of a Breaking Bad situation. So it's interesting. She finds out that there's a lot more seedy things going on in her island. I like reading them because I like the change up from the normal detective series that I read. And then obviously I had to read Anne Rule, Too Late to Say Goodbye. So that takes place early 2000s. It involves two cases, one that happened in the 90s and then one in 2000s. This gentleman was he killed his partners because he was abusive. He wouldn't want to let them go. You can't go. I'm the only person that can let you go. You can't run from me, type thing. And he would make it look like a suicide. And it took some very curious cops and some very pushy family members to actually get those cases solved. So I like reading Anne Rule. I like listening to Anne Rule, only because it's like listening to a podcast, like a true crime podcast in a way. I mean, it is about true crime, but it's the book is set up very similar to like a case file episode, if that makes any sense. Maybe other people will get it, but like, I don't know. When I miss my grandma, I listen to an Anne Rule book. So that's what I do. So that's what I did. But that's all I have. I have to show you this. Nope, that's the Anne Rule book. So I'm currently listening to TL Huchu. I forget how to pronounce his last name. Our Lady of Mysterious Ailments. So it's a beautiful purple cover. This is, if anybody ever reads this, it is better as an audiobook because it is based in Scotland.
So you get the Scottish accent?
So when you listen to it, you get the Scottish accent because I've tried reading. This is the second book in Edinburgh Nights. Because it follows a young girl named Ropa. The book will make a lot more sense if you listen to it versus trying to read in that Scottish accent. It makes it a lot more make sense, in my opinion. Don't take everything I have to say, but that's what I'm currently working on.
We know you're a weirdo. It's okay.
I'm learning to embrace it the older I get. I've just went, fuck it.
I mean, you've known me for over a decade now. I'm surprised it's taken you this long to embrace it.
Well, I embrace it to some degree. Like, there are certain things. Like, you kind of keep the book stuff a little hidden a little bit. Because, and the true crime, even though everyone's, like, so open about it, it's like, I'll just keep that right there. Like,
Well, that's because people are so biased with certain authors or against certain authors. And it's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, and
everyone's it's the same way with like fantasy too, where it's like, oh well, this person didn't do this right because according to this myth over here, this depiction of this should have looked like this. And it's like, dude, who the fuck cares? It's a good story. Yeah.
Well, and me being a Tolkien fan, I don't like Game of Thrones. I just don't like Game of Thrones. That's just me.
And everyone, all three of our listeners. No,
sorry, Mom. Don't like Game of Thrones. But like and everyone thinks that because I'm a woman, or romance. We've gone over this. Romance is the last thing I read. last thing.
I tried reading romance, and
like I just
let me tell you. So,
tell me.
One of the worst book series I've ever read, and actually the only book series that I can honestly say I started the series and then never read any other books in the series.
That's
and
a lot for
refused to
you.
finish it. I actually didn't even finish the book. It was so bad, but I love the TV show.
Okay, I could see where you would want to do one where you would read the book because of the book series. I get you.
Yeah, so I read the book because I love the TV show, and ChildBlood is very enjoyable. The Sookie Stackhouse mystery novels are garbage. I mean, and I've said this before. I don't know if I've said this on here, but so many people who have known me have heard me go on this rant about this book series. When it gets to the part where and this is one that's written by a woman, so you can't even say, well, it's written by a man, so that's why it's not done right. No, it's just poorly written. When it gets to the part where they can't write.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, you can't help when people just legit can't write.
When it gets to
you
the
can't
part
help
where
that, no matter what gender they are.
When it gets to the part where it's like, and we laid in the graveyard, and he shoved himself into me like a plow, moving it through soil. And I'm just like, no, I am not fucking finishing this. This is just horrible.
Oh, like, that's great.
I've read fanfics that were better than that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have. Honestly,
I mean,
honestly, like I think a lot of people have. It's nothing against. Well, it's like it's nothing against. Huh?
Let's say the sad part is the book series was so successful, it made a TV show out of it.
Do we need to go over that they made freaking 50 Shades into more than one book or in more than one movie? And those books are horrible.
That was also garbage, but that was a fanfic.
Like,
they got made into an actual book. They got made into a movie that is extremely harmful to the BDSM community.
Yeah, I was like, do we need to?
Which I know we've got at least one listener who is a fan of those books, and I have told her exactly what I feel about it, but we won't go into that.
We won't do that. We won't. It's the same thing. We don't talk about Twilight either. There's just certain rules.
Well, I mean, that's basically the same book, but
I know.
It was Twilight fanfic. Anyways, so yeah, I think that's about all we've got today, guys. Anyways, yeah, no, I think that's about all we have today.
Yeah, it's like that's all I got.
I would highly suggest, if you did not listen to the first episode for our Satanic Panic series, give it a listen. And if you know anyone who might be interested in the Satanic Panic, or maybe have never heard of it, over the next several weeks, we've got a fun series that'll be coming out that's personally one of my favorite topics, and it kind of compounds so many other topics that both Kelsey and I love.
Oh yeah, and it's even relevant to today too, with what's going on right now.
And we'll, I mentioned that a little bit in the last episode, and we'll get into that even more as it comes along. But yeah, definitely give us a listen, and if you're new here, welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Share us about.
Tell your friends.
Sometimes, tell everyone, even those you hate.
Yep.
Even if you don't like us, tell us those you hate. That way you can torture them.
Yeah.
And whatever.
For real. That's like you can join us on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. The hands you see in the videos are my hands.
We're on most streaming networks for podcasts.
Yeah.
Give us that 5-star review if you don't mind. Even if you, I actually found this out recently. Even if you don't listen on Apple Podcast, if you could go on there and give us a 5-star review on that, because apparently that's looked at more than a lot of other things.
Yep.
And even by people who don't use it to judge what podcasts you're listening to. So the more we're shared, the better content we can create, and continue to be our goofy selves.
Yes, I mean, we're going to continue being weird, but...
I mean, that's fair, but, you get to a little snippet into that weirdness.
Yes, you do. With our little side episodes here.
So until next time, I'm Johnny.
And I'm Kelsey.
Bye.
Bye.